Have you ever wondered why intimacy after 60 feels effortless, exciting, and deeply fulfilling for some women, but fades into routine and emotional distance for others? Most people assume it's simply hormones shutting down or age taking its course. But the truth, backed by science, is much more fascinating and far more hopeful. I'm Dr. Christina Northwell, a gynecologist with more than 30 years of experience helping women thrive through and beyond menopause. I've guided thousands of women who've whispered the same quiet question, am I too old to feel that spark again? And I always tell them the same thing, you are not broken. Your body is capable, your desire is valid, and connection is still absolutely possible. The key isn't fighting age, it's learning how to adapt. Today, we're going to explore one of the most overlooked aspects of postmenopausal intimacy, the science of position and connection. Research now confirms what many women intuitively know: how you approach intimacy, the positions you choose, and the variety you introduce directly influence both physical pleasure and emotional closeness. And these small adjustments can ripple outward, improving confidence, mood, and even overall well-being. A study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that women who maintained novelty and communication in their intimate relationships after menopause reported significantly higher satisfaction and emotional connection than those who stuck to long-term routines. The reason is simple. Our brains are wired to respond to novelty. Trying something new, whether it's a position, a setting, or simply slowing down, activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine and oxytocin, the very chemicals that fuel closeness and trust. Yet, many women never hear this from their doctors. They're told that declining hormones or reduced libido are just part of aging. But hormones are only one piece of the puzzle. What often gets overlooked are the psychological and physiological factors that influence pleasure, like circulation, comfort, communication, and emotional safety. When those are addressed, intimacy can feel not only possible again, but better than it ever was. Imagine a woman in her late 60s. She loves her partner deeply, but intimacy has become predictable, even mechanical. Years of habit mean the same routine, the same sequence, the same result, or a lack of one. She starts to wonder if something is wrong with her body, or worse, if she's simply too old to feel passion again. But nothing is wrong. Her body is simply asking for a new approach, one that considers circulation, joint comfort, and emotional connection. In my clinic, I've seen time and again how small changes, like adjusting angles, shifting positions, or prioritizing comfort, can completely transform how women feel in their own bodies. When a woman feels physically supported and emotionally connected, her body naturally responds with warmth, confidence, and pleasure. The truth is, satisfaction and intimacy after 60 isn't about being more flexible or trying harder. It's about working smarter, understanding what your body needs today, not what worked decades ago. According to the Cleveland Clinic, women who explore positions that reduce physical strain while increasing control tend to experience less discomfort, better circulation, and greater emotional satisfaction. These adjustments allow you to stay connected without tension, fatigue, or pain. This conversation is not about performance, it's about presence. Intimacy at this stage of life isn't about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming comfort, closeness, and confidence in the body you have right now. In this video, I'll take you through what research says about how different positions influence pleasure and connection after menopause, the common patterns that quietly dull intimacy over time, how a few simple adjustments can reignite your natural chemistry and deepen your emotional bond. And before we begin, I invite you to take one small action, like this video, subscribe, and share it with another woman who deserves to feel seen and supported. Because intimacy is not a luxury, it's a part of vibrant health, and every woman over 60 deserves to experience it fully. To understand how intimacy changes after 60 and why certain positions help women feel more connected, we need to start with the science of the body and the brain. The truth is, aging doesn't erase your capacity for pleasure or emotional closeness. It simply changes the pathways that get you there. Once you understand those changes, you can adapt easily and rediscover confidence in your body again. After menopause, estrogen levels drop significantly. This hormone isn't just about fertility, it's also responsible for maintaining the elasticity and blood flow of your intimate tissues. According to the Mayo Clinic, the decline in estrogen reduces circulation in the pelvic region, which can lead to dryness, thinning of the vaginal walls, and slower arousal. But what's often missed is that these changes don't mean your body has shut down. They mean your body needs a little more time, variety, and comfort to feel the same sensations it once did more easily. Here's the fascinating part. While hormones play a role, they're not the full story. Research from the National Institutes of Health, NIH, shows that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, continues well into our 70s and 80s. That means emotional connection, physical pleasure, and desire can all be reawakened when the brain receives the right signals. And one of the strongest signals comes from movement, novelty, and touch. When couples use the same routine for decades, the brain begins to treat intimacy as a predictable task rather than a rewarding experience. It stops releasing the same levels of dopamine and oxytocin, the pleasure and bonding hormones that fuel attraction and closeness. But small changes, such as shifting positions, increasing skin contact, or slowing the pace, can reignite that neural reward system. Studies published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine confirm that novelty itself, simply doing something different, stimulates the same brain regions that light up when people fall in love. Physiologically, there's also a circulation factor. The Cleveland Clinic notes that blood flow is central to sexual function at any age. When you choose positions that improve pelvic circulation and reduce joint strain, like sitting face-to-face or being on top, you increase oxygen and nutrient delivery to sensitive tissues. That means better lubrication, more sensation, and less discomfort. These positions also make it easier for you to adjust angle and rhythm, which allows for greater comfort and confidence, especially if arthritis, hip tension, or back pain are part of your daily life. And here's where emotional science intersects with physical biology. The brain doesn't separate physical closeness from emotional connection. Every time you experience eye contact, synchronized breathing, or a gentle touch, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. According to Harvard Health Publishing, oxytocin not only deepens emotional trust, but also helps regulate stress and blood pressure, promoting an overall sense of calm and safety. That's why positions that encourage eye contact, slow rhythm, and mutual control often feel more intimate. They engage both the nervous system and the heart. For women over 60, understanding this mind-body connection is key. Intimacy is no longer just about arousal. It's about safety, comfort, and presence. When you're relaxed, your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and restore system, takes over, increasing blood flow to the pelvic area and enhancing natural lubrication. Conversely, if you're tense, anxious, or distracted, your body diverts blood away from those regions, making pleasure harder to reach. That's why the most satisfying positions for mature women are often those that allow control, comfort, and connection. Control means being able to adjust pressure, angle, and pace. Comfort means supporting joints and muscles with pillows or softer surfaces. And connection means maintaining emotional presence, eye contact, breathing together, or simple touch. These factors are far more influential than flexibility or stamina. In a 2021 European survey of over 20,000 adults, researchers found that women who favored positions where they could control depth and pace, such as woman on top or seated face-to-face, reported the highest satisfaction levels, particularly in long-term relationships. These women described not only physical pleasure, but also increased closeness and confidence. The conclusion was clear. Positions that empower the woman to guide the experience create stronger emotional and physical outcomes. The takeaway is that your body isn't resisting pleasure, it's asking for adaptation. The science tells us that comfort and novelty stimulate the same reward systems that once fueled youthful passion. When you combine those with trust and open communication, the result is not just physical pleasure, but renewed emotional vitality. So, as we move into the next part, I'll walk you through the most common mistakes that quietly reduce intimacy for women over 60, habits that seem harmless, but can actually disconnect you from your body and your partner. And more importantly, I'll show you how to replace them with small, powerful shifts that restore both pleasure and confidence. Before we talk about the most effective ways to restore connection and pleasure after 60, it's important to recognize the habits that often get in the way. In my 3 decades of clinical experience, I've found that most women who feel disconnected from their bodies aren't doing anything wrong. They've simply fallen into patterns, quiet, unintentional mistakes that slowly limit comfort, satisfaction, and closeness. Once you see them clearly, you can start changing them immediately. Mistake number 1: treating intimacy as a routine instead of a conversation. For many long-term couples, intimacy follows a predictable script: same timing, same sequence, same position. Familiarity can feel safe, but over time, it can also dull the brain's reward system. The Journal of Sexual Medicine reports that repetition decreases dopamine activity, the same brain chemical that fuels excitement and attraction. When intimacy becomes a checklist instead of an exploration, the body stops responding with anticipation. This doesn't mean you need to reinvent everything. Small, intentional changes like shifting positions, slowing down, or adding new forms of touch can reignite the brain's sense of novelty. Think of it like cooking a familiar meal with new spices. The ingredients haven't changed, but the flavor feels new again. Mistake number 2: ignoring comfort and circulation. After menopause, changes in muscle tone, joint flexibility, and blood flow all influence how your body feels during intimacy. Yet many women continue using positions that worked in their 30s without realizing their body now needs more support. The Cleveland Clinic notes that decreased estrogen and pelvic circulation can make certain positions uncomfortable, especially those that strain the hips or lower back. Pain or tension during intimacy doesn't just affect the body, it teaches the brain to associate closeness with discomfort, leading to avoidance. Using supportive pillows, trying semi-seated or side-by-side positions, or adjusting angles can dramatically improve circulation and comfort. When you feel physically supported, your body relaxes, and relaxation is the foundation for pleasure. Mistake number 3: believing that desire must come before intimacy. This is one of the most common myths I hear. Many women wait to feel in the mood before being intimate, but after 60, desire often follows arousal, not the other way around. According to Harvard Health Publishing, mature women's sexual response often begins with physical or emotional connection, which then awakens desire. In other words, waiting for spontaneous passion can leave you waiting forever. The solution is to focus on gentle engagement, slow touch, eye contact, shared relaxation. These cues awaken the brain's reward centers and create a cycle where comfort leads to arousal, not the reverse. Mistake number 4: staying silent about discomfort. Too many women suffer quietly, afraid that speaking up will hurt their partner's feelings. But silence builds frustration on both sides. Open communication isn't awkward, it's essential. Studies from the National Institutes of Health, NIH, show that couples who talk openly about what feels good and what doesn't report higher satisfaction and less anxiety. If certain positions cause pain, explain it gently. You can say, "I love being close to you, but this angle hurts my hip. Can we try a pillow under me or a different position?" Most partners are not resistant, they're simply unaware. Intimacy is teamwork, and clarity builds confidence for both of you. Mistake number 5: over-reliance on quick fixes or myths about age. There's an entire industry selling instant intimacy solutions, creams, sprays, or pills that promise to restore passion overnight. But many of these address surface symptoms without supporting long-term healing. The deeper truth, supported by Mayo Clinic and NIH research, is that circulation, emotional connection, and comfort matter far more than any product. The other harmful myth is that aging itself is the problem. It's not. The body changes, yes, but adaptation is the secret to thriving. When women view intimacy as something that evolves instead of something they've lost, their confidence and responsiveness often return naturally. Let me share a brief story. Elaine, one of my patients, was 68 when she came to me. She and her husband had been intimate the same way for decades. Over time, She began to dread those moments, not because she didn't love her husband, but because it had become uncomfortable and predictable. When we discussed new positions that supported her hips and gave her more control, her entire perspective shifted. Within weeks, she told me, for the first time in years, I look forward to being close again. Elaine's story isn't rare, it's common. Most women simply need permission to adapt. Once they replace routine with curiosity, discomfort with comfort, and silence with honesty, the body responds beautifully. As you can see, these mistakes aren't about failure, they're about outdated habits. The moment you start adjusting your approach, you change everything: blood flow, confidence, and connection. In the next part, we'll take everything we've discussed and translate it into practical, step-by-step solutions. I'll show you specific adjustments, supportive positions, and communication techniques that not only restore comfort, but rekindle the emotional spark you thought was gone. Because intimacy after 60 isn't about limitation, it's about rediscovery. Now that you understand the science and the common mistakes that quietly undermine intimacy after 60, let's shift from awareness to action. This part is about solutions, specific, practical adjustments that can help you feel more comfortable, confident, and deeply connected with your partner again. You don't need drastic change or youthful flexibility. You just need a few simple tools, a willingness to adapt, and the reassurance that your body still knows how to respond when given the right support. Step 1. Start with comfort and communication. The most important foundation for satisfying intimacy is not technique, it's safety and trust. Before trying anything new, take a few moments to talk with your partner about what feels comfortable, what doesn't, and what you'd both like to explore. According to the Cleveland Clinic, couples who discuss comfort and preferences before intimacy report higher satisfaction and fewer physical issues like dryness or pain. If you experience vaginal dryness, use a water-based or silicone lubricant to reduce friction and enhance sensation. Products labeled as pH-balanced or for sensitive skin are ideal. The Mayo Clinic notes that using the right lubricant can transform comfort levels, especially when natural estrogen levels decline. Remember, this conversation doesn't need to feel clinical. Think of it as a shared curiosity about each other's needs. When both partners feel heard, the body relaxes, and that's when true connection begins. Step 2. Prioritize positions that reduce pressure and increase control. One of the simplest yet most powerful changes you can make is choosing positions that give you control over pace, depth, and angle. This not only increases comfort, but also stimulates blood flow to the pelvic area, enhancing sensitivity and pleasure. The Harvard Health Review emphasizes that women who maintain control during intimacy, by setting their own rhythm or adjusting angles, report higher satisfaction and less pain after menopause. Here are a few examples to consider. Seated face-to-face position. Sit astride your partner while both of you are seated on a sturdy chair or bed. This position allows eye contact, gentle rhythm, and minimal joint strain. It's especially comfortable for those with hip or knee stiffness. Side-by-side position. Lying on your sides facing each other encourages closeness and reduces pressure on the lower back and hips. Pillows between the knees or under the waist can add support. Woman on top, supported if comfortable, this position gives full control of angle and pace. You can place your hands on your partner's chest or the bed for stability, and a pillow beneath your knees for support. These positions are not just about mechanics, they encourage emotional intimacy. Eye contact, synchronized breathing, and gentle movement help release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which strengthens trust and connection. Step 3. Use warmth and circulation to enhance comfort. Improving circulation is key to comfort after menopause. Before intimacy, apply gentle warmth to the lower abdomen or pelvic area for 10 to 15 minutes using a warm, not hot, compress or heating pad. This simple step increases blood flow, helping tissues become more supple and responsive. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, reports that improved microcirculation supports natural lubrication and enhances sensation. Additionally, light movement, like slow stretching or short walks, before intimacy can make a noticeable difference. When your muscles are relaxed, your body's natural responses are stronger and more enjoyable. Step 4. Explore slow touch and mindful pacing. Intimacy after 60 is not a race, it's an experience. The body takes more time to respond, but that time is a gift. It allows for deeper emotional presence. Try incorporating slow, rhythmic touch or massage before intercourse. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps the body relax and increases sensitivity. Focus less on performance and more on exploration. According to Harvard Medical School, mindfulness during physical touch, being aware of sensations, breath, and emotional connection, enhances pleasure and reduces anxiety. Simple breathing together or maintaining eye contact can transform physical closeness into emotional healing. Step 5. Use support tools wisely and without shame. Some women benefit from topical estrogen creams or vaginal moisturizers prescribed by a healthcare provider. These can restore elasticity and hydration to the vaginal tissues. The Mayo Clinic emphasizes that localized estrogen is safe and effective for most postmenopausal women when used correctly. If you're uncomfortable with hormonal products, natural options such as vitamin E oil or castor oil, applied externally, can offer similar soothing effects. Always test a small amount first to ensure no irritation. Step 6. Reframe intimacy as connection, not performance. Many women tell me they feel pressured to keep up with what intimacy used to look like decades ago. But the truth is, your 60s and 70s are not a decline, they're an evolution. When you redefine intimacy as connection rather than performance, every experience becomes richer and more meaningful. Your focus should shift from how do I perform to how do I connect. Try pausing often, talking, laughing, or simply holding each other. Emotional safety and curiosity are far more powerful than speed or intensity. Step 7. Add variety and playfulness. Finally, remember that variety is a form of vitality. Research in the Journal of Sex Research found that couples who introduced small variations in position, timing, or setting reported higher long-term satisfaction. Even subtle changes, different lighting, gentle music, or a new form of touch, can trigger your brain's reward system, rekindling excitement and curiosity. One of my patients, Margaret, once told me, "We didn't overhaul everything. We just changed the angle, slowed down, and started looking at each other again." Within weeks, she felt not only physically satisfied, but emotionally alive. Comfort, communication, and curiosity. These are the 3 pillars of lasting intimacy at any age. The goal is not to feel 20 again. It's to feel connected, respected, and at home in your body right now. Let's take a deep breath together and bring everything we've learned into one place. If there's one message I want you to take away from this conversation, it's this. Intimacy after 60 is not about loss. It's about rediscovery. It's about learning how your body, your emotions, and your needs have evolved, and giving yourself permission to adapt with compassion and curiosity. Throughout this discussion, we've seen how aging does not erase the capacity for closeness or pleasure. What it does is invite you to approach connection differently, more mindfully, more slowly, and more intentionally. In the first part, we uncovered a simple truth that satisfaction and connection don't fade because of age, but because of repetition and neglect. The body responds best to novelty, variety, and open communication. In part 2, we explored the science, how changes in estrogen, circulation, and the brain's reward system influence pleasure and emotional connection. You learned that the brain still craves discovery, that intimacy stimulates the same chemistry of bonding and joy as it did decades ago. Then, in part 3, we revealed the most common mistakes, using the same positions out of habit, ignoring comfort, and staying silent about discomfort. None of these come from failure. They simply reflect years of routine and lack of guidance. And finally, in part 4, we turned awareness into action, exploring gentle, evidence-based techniques to restore confidence and comfort, positions that reduce strain, mindful pacing that enhances pleasure, and communication that deepens trust. When you put these lessons together, a beautiful picture emerges, one where intimacy becomes not a duty or memory, but a meaningful act of self-care and connection. Here's what I want you to remember. Your body is capable. Aging changes the landscape, but not the potential. Circulation, elasticity, and sensitivity can all improve with gentle attention, hydration, and movement. Your comfort matters. Supportive positions like seated face to face or side by side create both physical relief and emotional presence. Comfort isn't a luxury, it's the foundation of pleasure. Communication is healing. Talking with your partner about what feels good or what needs adjusting isn't criticism, it's intimacy itself. As the Cleveland Clinic emphasizes, emotional openness strengthens both trust and physical satisfaction. Novelty fuels vitality. Trying new positions, settings, or rhythms keeps the brain engaged. The Harvard Health Review notes that introducing variety activates dopamine, the same chemical that drives joy, curiosity, and bonding. Presence is more powerful than performance. At this stage of life, the greatest pleasure comes not from striving, but from feeling safe, loved, and connected in your own body. Let me share a story that beautifully illustrates this truth. A patient of mine, Helen, came to me at 70, certain that intimacy was over for her. She said, "Dr. Northwell, it's not that I don't love my husband, it's that I don't recognize my body anymore." We talked about everything you've just learned: comfort, variety, warmth, and communication. She and her husband began experimenting with supported seated positions and slow, mindful touch. A few months later, she smiled and said, "I realized it wasn't my body that changed, it was how I was listening to it." That shift from judgment to curiosity is what transformed her connection. And that's what I hope you'll take from this. Your body isn't asking to be younger, it's asking to be understood. When you listen, when you move with compassion and awareness, it responds with warmth, strength, and vitality. So tonight, before you rush back into routine, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, what does comfort look like for me now? What do I need to feel present, not pressured? Then share those thoughts with your partner. Let intimacy become a space where both of you feel seen, heard, and valued. Because when you create safety and understanding, the body naturally opens to pleasure. As the National Institutes of Health, NIH, reminds us, emotional safety activates the same biological pathways that enhance circulation, reduce inflammation, and restore natural lubrication. Connection truly is medicine. If this message has resonated with you, I invite you to do 3 small things that could make a big difference. Leave a comment below. Share what part of today's discussion inspired you most. Your story might encourage another woman to rediscover her confidence. Like this video so it reaches more women over 60 who deserve to know that intimacy and comfort can still flourish. Subscribe to this channel for more science-based guidance from me, Dr. Christina Northwell, every week. Together, we'll continue exploring natural ways to age with confidence, balance, and joy. And remember, intimacy after 60 is not about proving you can. It's about allowing yourself to feel. It's about slowing down, being present, and choosing connection over performance. Your body is wise, your needs are valid, and your potential for pleasure never expires. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, nurture your connection, and never forget, you deserve to feel safe, loved, and fully alive at every stage of life.